Hey guys, Travis Gorsuch here at Gorsuch Performance. Today I want to talk to you about a common question that we get with our fans, and that is the fan placement within the shroud or with respect to the radiator. Where should the fan be mounted? Um, a lot of this is going to come down to your particular application, and it's tough for me to give you an exact number, but I'm going to give you some tidbits and some hints for things for you to look at and make the best call on your own. When we run the car through the corner, whether it's a street stock or a late model, and we bounce it around, and really start to work the car hard, everything flexes and moves a lot more than we realize. So that being said, we want the shroud, and we always recommend a shroud to make the system as efficient as we can for moving the airflow and optimizing our cooling. But we want the fan and the shroud and the radiator to be as close to each other as possible without coming in contact. Again, we gotta remember, you're gonna be bouncing this car around, and how rigid your shroud is mounted or how rigid your radiator is mounted with respect to your engine, they might flex, and we wanna make sure that they never touch, but at the same time, when we keep them close, it is going to make it more efficient. The air is always gonna take the path of least resistance. So from that standpoint, if you have a shroud on the car and it's mounted, I'll say 3 or 4 inches away from the tips of the fan blade, and the fan's spinning, the air is going to come off the tips and just swirl right around, and it's ultimately just going to circulate that air right there in a circle and not pull the air through the radiator. So by pulling the shroud back in closer, and that way it's forcing that fan to suck the air through the radiator, again, making things more efficient and causing it to actually cool the car. We get a lot of guys that don't want to run a shroud, and that's your choice, but I would recommend it. Therefore, again, because the air is going to take the path of least resistance, you want the fan mounted, especially without a shroud, as close to the radiator as possible. Otherwise, again, it's just going to circulate the air right there behind the radiator without pulling it through. A lot of times we're kind of in that, I'll say 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch away from the radiator. Again, it's tough for me to make that call because I don't know your car. I can't see all your details, but you can kind of do the testing and understand, obviously, the closer the better. As far as the inlet and everything, the screen, the more you can keep the dirt out of getting in the backside. A lot of times we'll see the fans that start to get kind of pitted on the leading edges where we're coming in contact with a lot of sand and debris. That's a sign that you might want to look at your shroud or your cooling system, because ultimately if the fan's getting pitted by that, the fins on the back of your radiator are going to get laid over, and you'll start to see those being flattened out. Therefore, they're going to hold more dirt, and it's not going to allow the air to flow through as well. And the whole thing is just going to lose its efficiency, and you're just going to be wasting horsepower to spin this fan for no reason because it can't get the air through the radiator because the fans are all blocked and it's all filled with dirt. And as a reminder, on the fan mounted into the shroud, the old rule of thumb of kind of being half in, half out is a good starting spot. A lot of times we will recommend going a little deeper into the shroud, maybe 3/4 in, 3/4, or a quarter out. Again, the biggest reason is just to try to keep that air from circulating around the tips and actually cause it to suck the air through the cooling system, through your radiator, through your mud guard. Take a look at the whole system and just remember that the whole thing needs to work as an assembly. It doesn't do any good to just put a fan on there and not pay attention to anything else. But if you have additional questions, don't hesitate to reach us at 951-310-0560 or go on our website at gorsuchperformancesolutions.com. Thanks, guys.